Welcome to this month's podcast, and today we're going to be talking about duty versus desire. What do we do with that? There's duty, things you have to do, and desire, things you want to do, and we're probably in conflict at times in deciding which way to go when it comes to making a decision. Let's talk about that today. I'm sure you've heard about the concept of duality. I don't know, an example of this could be night and day and dark and light and that sort of opposite. However, I'm talking about the duality that I sort of discovered during my concept introduction to Buddhism. Now, it's thousands of years old as a concept, and it sort of boils down to a dual state of existence. Day, night, as I said, life, death, sun, moon, good, evil, fire, water, inside, outside, love, hate, all those, you know what I mean. But this duality I'm talking about that pops up in Buddhism is all about a dual state of existence, which is two things happening at once. Now, you're either sitting in duty or desire once you make that decision, but when you're in that middle place, there is sort of a concept that we can base this on that can help you make decisions. So how do you choose whether you really need to do that 100% as opposed to putting it off, doing it later, making an excuse, and doing something that works for you better in that moment? This is that duality dilemma that can make things difficult at times, as you know, which one do you pick when you have to make a decision? So one hand, you have your duties. There are things that you're supposed to do, expected to do, like as a parent, it's your duty to provide for your children. As a doctor, your duty is to look after your patients to your best ability. So in general, it's your duty to do things that take you closer to your goals. So you have an actual duty to yourself as well in this. And I've just noticed when working with lots and lots of different people over the 10 years, I've noticed that some people can sit in full service duty for every single other person in the world except themselves, thinking that they're perhaps being altruistic or unconditional and just giving. However, if your cup is always empty, there's not going to be something left to give in the end. So it is, again, and this is coming back to that Buddhist concept, it is about balance. One without the other doesn't work. If I just sit in duty all the time and am 100% as a workaholic as I was, and I was dutiful doing all my work all the time, not addressing that desire side to my personality, health, wealth, well-being, every side of me, from a soul perspective especially, not addressing that caused a massive imbalance in my life, which consequently led to some dire circumstances. I became very sick, which was compounded because of my lack of balance. And I see it in clients as well. It was actually a dear friend of mine who actually is a social worker who brought to my attention about grandmothers. I just really noticed that they're 100% available all the time for their children. Yes, of course, I'll do that. Oh, yes, I'll do that. Yes, I'll come and, oh, no, that's okay. I had bridge, but I'll come over and babysit and I'll do this and I'll get that on the way and drop it off. And I'm just noticing, I don't know if it's just that baby boomer generation, because that's sort of reflective of what I'm exposed to, that these women just constantly say yes, 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 without any boundaries, causing them to be depleted and not have enough energy, not address their health issues as they could because they're not available for themselves. Going to play that bridge that day might have been great for mental health. It would have been important perhaps to that person for really needing to connect with someone there, maybe win a competition. So they put themselves 100% not even in the equation because of this duty-driven experience. The guilt thing comes up. Oh, well, I feel guilty if I say no, and I feel guilty. Whereas if you look at this new generation that's coming through, they're very much not into feeling guilty by being empowered personally. Everyone is encouraged. Again, it's one extreme to the other, so anything that's in extremes, as we know, doesn't work because balance is where we find our answers. If you're always saying yes to duty and putting it as the priority in your life, maybe time to reflect and go, you know what? I give myself permission to acknowledge who I am and my inner needs. If we went to the desire place, and I just, choose to give to myself and honour all my desires, and I did that 100% of the time, or you did that 100% of the time, or anyone that does that 100% of the time, we're not getting a balance there either. They would be probably seen as, not that this is accurate in any way, but be seen as selfish and heartless, and how could you just say no or whatever. But the whole idea of this is to illustrate that any extreme doesn't work. One way or the other. It's about the balance in the middle. So when you have two choices, there is a place in that duality, and that is to find balance when we're looking at duty or desire. It can totally be a dilemma and create lots of conflict. But I just want to express today, it might be really important to boil it down to that balance for yourself. You are your own master of your own existence. It's up to you to give yourself precedence, to honour yourself in all your decisions. Because if we keep putting ourselves behind, last, we can't give as much if our cup is empty. Simple as that. And my philosophy is the more you have to give. So you have to find that balance with how much do you give and how much do you allow yourself to honour its integrity through honouring its desires, and seeing which is the priority at the moment that you're making that decision. And, it's hard to say leave guilt out of it, because I never would ever want to actually minimise anyone's feeling. However, if you can just wrap your head around the concept that it is okay to make a decision for yourself and not feel guilty, if you can get your head around that little one, you can move mountains, because you'll have so much more energy setting boundaries and getting your needs met in that desire realm. And then when it comes to the duty, you will be 100% available and happy to be there, because you've made the choice based on that, and there's no resentment because you had to give something up to be there and it wasn't, a decision that you wanted to make. So while we're on the planet, maintain the balance, and then you can start living a more fulfilled and, balanced life. That's it from me today. Love and light always. Take care. See you next time.